Hello YouTube, iFixItAll here, Team iFixItAll. So I've got my Hustler Sport lawnmower up in the air here, and I'll cut right to the chase. My symptom was my left side, driver's side, hydrostatic transmission. After about 5 or 10 minutes of running, was performing in such a way to where it was having very little effect on directional travel while on a slope. Like if I'm on the side of a bank driving straight, I would have to fight my way to stay straight. The left was not operating the same as the right. And with that being said, I'm going to try to see if I can change the oil in these EZT transmissions, and you'll know you have one because it'll say EZT. Service manual says these transmissions require no maintenance during the service of the transmission and use or the life. Okay, I just don't believe it. I've done quite a bit already. I'm not going to go over how to take them out. You know, if you've got tools, boom, boom, and you have skills, and get the damn thing out. I left. My style is when I take hardware out, if possible, I put it back in the same hole from which it came. There's 4 primary bolts that hold it up there, coupled with the idea that they conjoined the 2 transmissions for stabilization with this plate here. And that's your neutral bars you pull out if you want to move the mower by hand. This stabilizer plate joins the 2 transmissions up to each other. And what I discovered, my plate here has stress cracks. See that? I'm going to have to weld that and hammer it back. Primary objective here is to understand a few things. First thing I did was I took these out, and then I tried to understand how is it that I'm going to get the oil out. Well, one of the first things I want to do is get some oil out of each transmission and put them into clear plastic water balls and compare them to the eyeball to see what things look like. Number 2, since this is my first go at fooling with any of this hydrostatic transmission stuff, do some self-paced learning. I've looked up manuals. You go to Hydrodrive website. It's no secret. Illustrated parts breakdown of every damn transmission they make. It's just all down to experience now for me, so I'm taking it kind of easy. What I do know is that in any transmission, it requires fluid, and in any gearbox assembly, there's generally going to be a vent. So I've also dug in and found out, and I'm very disappointed that I don't have a drain port anywhere on the low side. And I'm thinking about that and how to make and create one, because I would like to service the fluid in these. This transmission was, this mower was bought a long time ago. I think I got it in 2013. In the heyday of Hustler, when they were making the good chassis, and then they went through a period of time where their chassis were subpar. That resulted in a bunch of customers experiencing negative results. I only know this because a few years ago somebody said, oh yeah, you got one of those good chassis. And I didn't understand what they meant until I called Hydrodrive about these transmissions to get some sort of support on them. And the individual there said, yeah, that's they went through a period of time where the chassis were flimsy and they never recovered from that reputation ding to the point that Stanley bought them out. So understand, you're talking to Stanley when you're dealing with Hustler now. But in my case, I've got an older unit without the original motor. I upgraded the motor to an 18 horse Kohler. Got rid of that Honda that was on there. So back to the transmissions. We're already 6 minutes in. I did discover, I mean, for God's sakes, you have a fill port, but you don't have a drain port. It's ridiculous. This is the low-end transmission drive assembly Hydrodrive makes for residential use. And, you know, this is almost symptomatic of some board meeting somewhere in the world of Hustler where they try to maximize profits. They say, well, let's not go with the next bigger unit, which would have had a next better, the next higher end model, which would have had a accessible fill port, accessible drain port, an accessible external oil filter, an accessible external oil pump assembly, and an external oil fill reservoir, which you find on a lot of residential riding mowers, zero turn, and what have you today. This is the absolute cheapest, I believe the absolute cheapest, inexpensive Hydrodrive transmission. So I guess this was one of the ways they increased margin by value engineering. You know, the engineers that probably designed the Hustler brand probably had a better trans, and then they completed their end of it. Then it got sent off to value engineering, and value engineering's their job is to look at everything on the machine and try to figure out where there's too much hardware to save a few pennies here, where there's extra labor steps involved, and eliminate a task that took 3 steps and unify it into a single task, where it achieves the same thing. And then the transmission, value engineering probably said, well, we don't have to go with a standard higher end hydro, what's it called? Hydrostatic transmission by Hydrodrive. We can go with a lower end and it'll still achieve the same results, and the consumer will know none the different. And I'll be brutally honest with you, I've used this machine. I mean, I have a ball on here. Those transmissions have done some work. So it's even welded right here from the ball to the frame, because I have a trailer that I've pulled things like firewood and mulch around the yard on a trailer. So, all right, 9 minutes in. I'm going to pause it, set you guys up, and I'm going to drain some fluid. Here's my fill port. Here's my vent. I'm going to take the vent out and show you that it wasn't venting properly. So hang tight. One of the things you might notice is I have a torch over here, and I noticed on the fill plug, it's an Allen. and it's a steel Allen, but it's also very tight. I highly recommend you get the lowest profile Allen possible on here. And if you're not squared up, you know, perfectly squared up while breaking this loose, if you're any way crooked in any fashion, you'll begin to strip out this Allen fitting on the top of this. But this is my fill plug. I've already broke it loose. I've done a lot. But you've got to, I would recommend you set your torch up and scoot this vent, okay, take the hose off, and heat up the case. Right in here. Just sit there and let it warm up that case to help expand the aluminum away from the threads of this steel plug to help you break this loose, because these things are tight. Let's see if you're back still in frame. Yeah. I'll just turn it sideways here. Get the plug out. Yep, you're good. Get the plug out of here. Your plug will be equipped with, I don't see any Loctite, but there is an O-ring. And I'm trying to figure out if I want to do any modifications here. I'm not, I'm kind of stuck on whether or not I'll do that or not. I have a couple of ideas, and sometimes ideas are not exactly the best thing for me to have, because I have a tendency to stall the project until I really remediate something that makes it better. And in this case, I need to cut my grass. So I got to focus on what I'm trying to achieve here. All right, I'm going to use a Harbor Freight transfer pump to get oil out of the transmission, but I've already fabricated a step-down hose to fit down in the hole and dodge all the gears. I have a little hose here that is going to be put inside of this. But in order to keep this real flimsy hose from folding, there's a lot of stuff down in there. There's a lot of gears and things in the way, and this hose is too flimsy to dodge all that. So what I did was I put a little wire, a piece of baling wire, in the hose that goes full length so that I can bend this to dodge things. And I've already done a test drive on a couple of things, and I've found out that from here to the red tape represents the idea that I've successfully made it all the way down to the bottom of the transmission. So my red tape tells me I'm at the bottom and I can transfer oil. So let me go get my water bottle and let's pull some oil out. I've zoomed in a little bit more. Let's see what we got here. So I'm going to get my step down hose prepped, and then I'm going to go fish. Got my water bottle here. And I'm going to see if I can't successfully navigate around things to get to the bottom of the transmission. It's not easy. I've seen the illustrated parts break down in the manuals, and there's a lot in here. Thought I had this trajectory already memorized. Yep, let me pause. I'll find the direction. Hang tight. Alright, I got it. I had to rotate that axle flange right there a little bit to clear something out of the way. Let's see what happens here. There we go. And nasty ass oil. Dang it, I thought this was going to work. Yeah, it is. It's trying. Come on, Harbor Freight. That sucks. I gotta get some of this flowing. Come on. Here it comes. This is nasty. That's what's going on. It's such a small diameter. This pump is assuming it's going to be a bigger line. It's not made for little dinky suction. Oh. No. We'll be better off just pouring it out. I don't see nothing. Yeah, it's coming out. Well, this is what I'm going to be doing for the next couple of minutes. Hang tight. Let me pause the video. This oil looks awful. We're getting somewhere. This is slow going, so I can pause it for a while. Hang tight. So that's about the end of the line of where I'm going to take oil out on that transmission. What I'll do is I'll put the cap on. Let me zoom a little bit better here. I'll get oil out of this one next and put it into a water bottle. So I swear to God, it looks like this is, has anybody ever had split pea soup? Like the color green? I'm going to try to see if I can light this up for you to show you. I wonder if it's going to show. It's not black. It's green. And it's probably the viscosity of chocolate milk. I'm going to let this separate in this container for a while. Hang tight while I get some more oil out of that transmission. Looks like we're in the same boat here. If this hose wasn't so small, I'd be transferring faster. Let me work on this for a little bit and be right back. There it is, another bottle of oil. And it still has that greenish looking color to it. That's the second transmission. What I'm going to do is continue. I'm going to dump the two transmissions upside down in a drip pan and see if I can get them to drain out physically, but for some reason it looks like the other one's not draining, even though I know there's some fluid still in it. I may try some more pumping out with this little pump here. Hang tight. All right, so what I've noticed is a significant more amount of fluid came out after I dumped the right-hand transmission. I mean, there's a lot of fluid in there. Quite the bit. Compared to dumping this one upside down, it's just a little bit. So maybe this one was low on oil. One of the differences was the top side of this transmission here. Well, come on. The fan was all in the oil. But it's a lot more greasy around the pulley where the seal is. And I suspected this one would be a little bit more dry than that one. I'm not sure what I've done to myself here. Hang on. Let's just do that. It'll be all right. This transmission here is a lot more grimy, and I thought, well, this one is probably going to have less grease or less oil. Turns out that one over there, I can't get any more oil to come out besides what's in the bottle. So my thoughts are, the reason why this transmission was a lot more grimy was the vent port. This is the left-hand side vent port right here. And it should allow air to blow through that 90-degree fitting. The hose is clear, I believe. Yep. And I should be able to blow through the whole vent port. And I do. I am able to. Got a helicopter in the background for noise. I'm trying to let you hear it. So this one was venting properly. I'm still going to clear it because I know it's got some corrosion in there. Let's let that little chopper go by. And here's the right-hand vent port, which is corroded up. So that transmission may have, it had a lot more oil. The oil would expand. It was having trouble venting out the vent port, so it was venting out around the pulley shaft seal. And the hose is clear, I believe. Yep. Let's see if the whole device is clear. No. So I'll have to clear that with a little wire or something. Just get in there and clean it out. So basically this crankcase here was just puking oil out any orifice that the pressure of the fluid could create, and that's going to be around the main pulley seal. This is the left one. Well, it's sort of clogged too. I can hear a little bit of air passing through, but you guys can't. So I'll clean these vent ports out. I'm going to work on that other transmission over there to see if I can get any more oil to come out. Because a crap ton more came out of this one. Hang tight. Okay, so I'm a retard. I screwed the plug, the fill plug, back into that one. Alright. Guess it answers why no more oil's coming out. There's my right hand plug. There's my left. I have the vent port off of this one, so there was a little bit of oil in the vent chamber. Let's see if more oil comes out. Oh yeah, okay. It's glooping out. Okay, good. What I'm trying to do is observe any differences. And so far, the major difference I've found is this transmission is much darker than that one because it was not venting as well as that one. So let me get the oil emptied and put some new in and clean those vent ports. Clean those vent ports out. I've got my two bottles here labeled left and right. And what I'm going to do is leave these sitting for a while. Another observation that I need time for, which is just going to be literal time on the clock, is to let these bottles sit. And I want to observe through visually if there's a separation going on. Will there be a layer of oil from water? Because one of the things that Hydrodrive said is Is that the manufacturer? Hydro Drive? I think that's who they are. Um, Hydro Drive. Sounds right. Hydro Gear. And I did, no, it wasn't Hydro Gear. It was Stanley on behalf of Hustler. Told me that the transmissions could act up if when people pressure wash their motors off and all that, water can get into the case, or somehow, some way, water can get in there. I don't pressure wash mine off. I I don't do that. I just, yeah, if it gets, I just pluck grass off of it. I see big wads and all that. So this thing has never been subject to pressure washing. Now the machine has sat out in the rain before, quite often. I plowed snow with it because I got a snow plow adapter for the front. But what I'm looking for is separation. Um, I'm not seeing a lot of water floaty bubbles, or not. I didn't see a lot of indications that I should be looking for water as this stuff is piling up in the drip pans, and as well as it was coming out of the bottle. I wasn't seeing any signs of water, although the viscosity is very thin on this stuff. It's the viscosity of a milkshake or a split pea soup. So I'm just going to let these sit and observe the separation and check back in on them later. The replacement oil is supposed to be 20W50, a thick motor oil. So, not trans fluid or nothing like that. I'll see what I have in stock and move from there. So this vent here, I cleared the corrosion, but I decided since that spun, how does it come off? And it just pops off a couple O-rings. And it's clear all the way through. There we go. So then what's remaining to be clogged? Must be some tech inside this cap. Plastic cap. And voila, you look up in here and there is a little foam thing. So that could be fabric cobbled out of any material you would see fit. This is just a foam material. I'll see if I can just replace this. Hang tight. Found a piece of this. It's I got some absorbent matting material, but I just tore a corner off, and I'll just make me a new one of these and cram it up inside that cap. There we go. Let's see if that's too much. Like as in too thick. That should be okay. It's still venting well enough. Let me think on this. Finish cleaning it out with a 22 rifle barrel cleaner. And finish it off with, I don't know, what is this, for eyelashes? A little brush and scrap something the wife was throwing out. What's that called? Mascara? I don't know. Whatever goes on eyelashes. Good and clean. There we go. Pop the cap back on. Got the foam up in there. Make sure that's on good and tight. Trim the hose off and put it back on. I already did that. I think I like the way that's acting because it's you can't actually hear the air passing through, but you know that you can suck air through the hose and push air through the hose. So it's going to filter similar to the density of this filter, which is extreme. So I believe my new filter will take on and hold prevent water from getting in to a degree, but allow the crankcase to vent air out or pull air in as needed, which is the purpose of this, because this vent system here is extremely, I don't know, I didn't try cleaning this out. Hang on. Yeah, I don't know if I like this or not. This is like a rubberized polymer foam, styrofoam. I don't know. I'm not sure I like this. It's engineered, though, beyond what I'm thinking, I'm sure. This might be better as a vapor barrier, but allow air ventilation. Vapor barrier. No, this would be better as a moisture barrier and allow breathing. And this one was installed in that transmission, which is the dirtiest transmission, where oil was getting puked up around the top seal. So maybe I'll go with my vent setup and get rid of this little foam thing. Let's put the vent cap back on. Trim the end a little bit because the old rubber was really flared. Oops. Put a little Earl on that O-ring. There we go. Good enough. Aim it. That back on. There we go. I'll wash, rinse, and repeat for the other side. Although it's not obvious, those little filter discs are doing a lot of work. Seems to be a lot of crap buildup on them. This is for the left-hand filter. All right. Put a little oil on this O-ring here. Snug it down. That should be good enough. Aim it. Trim the hose because it's a little split right there. Plug it back in. We're in like Flynn. Time to get some oil. Actually, that transmission right there, I'm going to spray it off with some degreaser. That way when I install it, later on check back in on it, I'll confirm that the idea that the vent was clogged up, it was puking oil out that top seal. Otherwise, I have a blown top seal. And whether it's bad enough to really worry about is another discussion. There we go, a little bit of gasoline and a brush and clean it up. What I'm looking for is, in the future, do I see this area getting moist again? Coming from around this, where the fan turns, there's a seal down in the case here. Seeing if this is getting gooped up with oil again. This case looks pretty clean, which is the case, the transmission that was giving me trouble with the left one. But anyway, I think I'm going to migrate on, instead of putting oil in, I think I'm going to put the transmissions in and then add oil. Because I'm going to have to add oil anyway. Because from what I understand, you have to idle these things and work the handles to get these to engage again, to pump all the air out. So you have to, I think, leave this plug out and run the engine and work the handles, and you'll see air bubbling, and then the oil level will drop, and at the end of the day, your oil level should be about an inch below the top of the case. From what I understand, we shall see. Hang on. I also have to wire wheel all this hardware too. All the bolts that mount this thing up, I have to clean that up and put some anti-seize on them. And then I've got to weld this up too. Hang on for a minute. Gotta figure out what the hell it is I'm looking at here. So it looks like not only was I cracked along here and here, but right there as well. God damn it, that son of a bitch is hot. You seeing that? Well, let me mess with it.